Hi there. This is my mid-semester reflection on the first half of the semester so far. Um, and for the first section, we'll talk about what developmentally appropriate practice is to me and how it's been informed by this class. And I would definitely say that it has reminded me that appropriate practice really truly relies on the teacher allowing for a planned and prepared environment that includes intentional open-ended materials, diverse materials that they can work with, but also appropriate materials for their age group. And so preparing the environment ahead of time is going to really lend to them being able to have a child-directed exploration in their learning, which is truly what appropriate practice is as well. At the core is that it is child-directed, child-initiated learning, where you get to allow them to follow their interests, their curiosity, and kind of follow their lead in the play and in learning experiences. And so that is a major aspect of it as well. Another major aspect of preschool appropriate practice for me is that I need to be observing enough how they're interacting in their play so that I can ask probing questions that are going to lead them along in their learning and kind of focus on the actions that I see. So aren't really directing them to a certain goal in how I'm asking the questions, but really saying, I see that you chose this color and you mixed it with this color. Why did you do that? And so kind of leading them to find the connection between their actions and their thoughts, and what's going on in the deeper thinking in their minds, because there is deeper thinking going on, but sometimes it's harder for them to articulate that or even explore why they're choosing what they're choosing. So it's really a lot of our job too to ask those probing questions and allow those moments to be those teachable moments that we want to provide for our students, but still allowing them again to direct their learning. And so yes, those are the huge aspects I believe that really make up appropriate practice to me now, based on this semester. Now my thoughts on curriculum for this specific age group, how it's evolved over time from the start of the semester to now. I would say a huge change was that at the beginning of the semester, I truly felt like it was my sole responsibility to document every aspect of their learning and make sure that it's set up in a portfolio and managed by me alone. And so what's really cool is I've seen how you can invite children into this collaborative approach to documenting their learning, and it kind of gives them this ownership over their learning, and they're excited about it, and they're more prepared to speak about their progress and how they're learning, with their parents and with me, and they're just taking more pride in their work, which is really awesome and very compelling for them. Probably very enriching too. It allows for so many more conversations with me as a teacher and the parents about how they're progressing through, because they can see their learning tangibly and they can intentionally organize it in their own portfolio and kind of design it how they want to. And it's really from their perspective, which makes it so individualized, and truly allows for a holistic approach to their learning development. So I really love that this shift for me has been from only being an independent pursuit of documentation to a more collaborative pursuit of it with the children, and giving them the tools like cameras and, like I said, letting them kind of construct their own portfolio through a journal or things like that, where they can take out their work samples, or we can print off pictures of their work samples and put them there. So it's really neat to see that over time and see how I can be better about giving them opportunities to document their learning. That was a really fun way that my view of curriculum has been changed a lot, as far as documentation. Now, and another thing that has also changed is really giving them time to work through problems and kind of work through the challenges that come with child-led play. because so many times I want to just step in and help them when I see them struggling or I see them having a challenge. I want to just come help them immediately, give them the answer rather than giving them the time to work through it, which I feel like is super vital and essential for them to be able to have that problem solving skill for their later years. And but I can give them support, in an appropriate way, and clues, toward the answer, but not just immediately stepping in to help them, or even during conflicts. I know there's a lot of conflicts that if you let children kind of work through it, they'll find a way through. Obviously there are certain situations where you have to step in, but I really do feel like my natural instinct is to just step in. So I really have been challenged this semester with how to engage with curriculum in a way that I'm not so quick to go help them when I can give them time to work through those problems instead of just jumping in and feeling like I have the responsibility to right away. So that's been an interesting shift from the start of semester to now. Now moving on, I do believe that understanding child development is essential to planning curriculum, especially because I do believe that there is a specific zone of development or zone of proximal development for each child that they are in. And so I really feel like it takes us to zoom out with the CDELs and give us an understanding of the normal milestones for the age group that we're in. Because if we can know that, the normal milestones that are in a zoomed out way, we can zoom in with each child and kind of observe and plan and individualize curriculum in a way that is going to help us provide one-on-one support in appropriate ways. Because if we don't know where they're at on that continuum, and their rate along the sequence of development, then we're not going to know how to help them in their everyday activities or things like that. We're not going to know how to extend their learning. We're not going to be able to identify where they're at now and what they can do independently that's appropriate versus what they need assistance to do and move on to the next kind of skill or stage even. So I feel like knowing the natural sequence and progression over time, and not the rate, because every child's rate of development is going to be different, but the sequence of that development is going to be, we can measure that with the CDELs, which I love. And so I really do feel like even knowing what comes next in that sequence is important for us to look ahead and say, okay, what's the next thing this child will be expected to do, or according to the normal milestones. So I believe that will help us help build off of their present skills and allow the activities that we introduce to be challenging but doable. And I really do feel like that's a huge part of knowing child development, is because you can provide appropriate activities, appropriate curriculum that's going to be challenging but doable. So I love that, and I love understanding the CDELs and using them and getting used to them more and more. I've seen them so many times, and I just love the resource, so grateful for it. And an example of how I would apply what I've learned into my future classroom would be probably, like I've been saying, allow children to take more ownership in different creative ways. I really love the idea of letting them construct the learning centers. So telling me, what they would like the center to look like and what materials they want to add and how they want it to develop over time. I really love asking the children for their input on that. I've never thought to do that, which is just like such a simple thing. Like I was saying earlier with allowing them to document, it's so simple, but it truly does give them ownership of their learning environment and helps it be an engaging and relevant learning experience for them. So I really do feel like it is so impactful for their learning experience, for them to be able to fulfill their desired investigations and their pursuits of learning within a certain theme. And so I loved letting their curiosity and their questions guide how we're going to construct the environment and how we're going to make the centers relevant to them. But I also loved how you can just introduce little books to spur them on in their learning and the theme, like how easy it is to, or really, I mean, you do have to be intentional, but it is easy. You just grab a book that is really intentional about extending their thinking past where they're at now. I mean, like the shadow book that they introduced, it led them to so many different skills and different, it led them to so many more explorations, such as let's make my own paper mouse and just drop it from a vantage point. Is it going to be the same as what it was in the book? And so I loved how that example showed me the power of applying books and literacy into the everyday experiences that are going to propel them into their further explorations, which still lets them lead. You know, their curiosities are the ones leading us further into their learning, but it does open up so many different avenues of thinking for them just by introducing a book. So I loved that idea, and I definitely am going to take that into my future classrooms as well. So I love that. And let's see, a chapter or concept that's challenged me the most, I'd probably say integrating curriculum across different learning centers, which I love that we're practicing this week with our lesson plan, because it is something I really haven't ever practiced in my previous classrooms. I would use some sort of theme and use it really mainly toward literacy, and books that we'd use would be very topical, but it was really hard for us to take the time to like put those materials in that are going to make their learning flow between all the centers and connect between all of them. But I really do feel like it would be such a powerful thing to show them there's so many different ways to approach their learning in this topic, and you know, there's so many different mediums that you can use to explore a certain theme, and that it really does connect all together. All those skills and developmental domains, they do connect in a lot of fun ways. So I really am challenged by that as far as how I'm going to take that into the future classroom. It will definitely be a challenge at first because I'm not so used to it. But I really do feel like it is going to be a beneficial concept to take into the future classrooms, integrating the curriculum across those centers and making them super enriching across all of them and engaging in that way. Now, what excites me the most about teaching preschoolers in curriculum, I would say, again, it goes off to the same thing of partnering with the children. I really feel like that's something this semester I've really just has really resonated with me, because it's really felt like I'm on this side, they're on that side, and there's not really as much collaboration in how we're going about curriculum. But I love this book and how it's really challenged me to think about it as a partnership, and how I can give children that ownership over their learning, the pride for their accomplishments, and honestly teach them how much more fun learning is when you have an intrinsic motivation for it, and it's not like for an applause for somebody else, but I'm going to take my learning and I'm going to say, you know, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to make it something I think about and reflect on and create myself, you know, document myself. So I think that inviting children into that with me will be so fun, and I cannot wait, because I mean, I just loved how children were so excited when I'd bring out my camera to take pictures of their work. They were always so happy and excited that I was doing it. Everyone wanted me to take pictures of their work. And so I really feel like giving them the tools to do that will be so enriching for them and give them a lot of different just a intrinsic motivation to be lifelong learners. So I loved that motivation to move forward in the classroom. I'm excited to take that into my future classrooms, and to allow them to take ownership and do it with me. So it'll be a really fun collaborative approach to teaching that I'm really excited to explore. So thanks for listening.